What's going on, everyone? Thanks for coming to the episode. We've been trying this for like 2 months now. First, I sent an email and it went to spam. You know, what's crazy about spam is like I get tons of emails that don't go to my spam, and then I send a legit email and it goes to spam. I can't understand. Google, figure this out. Well, why don't you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Hi there. My name is Kirsten Snyder, and I work over at Westmont Village, which is a senior living community. Over 500 units. It's a large community out off of Van Buren, kind of in the Orange Crest neighborhood. We have individual 55 and over homes, actual homes. So if you want to downsize but not live in a 55 apartment, which is what typically happens, this is the place for you. So we've got that. We've got assisted living, memory care, and even skilled nursing.
How do you guys handle do they freak out? Is the gun range still active up there?
It is. It is.
So at least you guys know what day it is when they do shoot?
Well, we don't. But the first couple of weeks that I worked there, it was a little unnerving, I will say.
Yeah. Like all of a sudden people are popping off rounds and you're like, where am I working?
Yeah, we are next to Ben Clark training base, which makes me feel safer.
100%.
And then, yes, it's way off in the distance. So it's not like it's right in our backyard.
I remember the first time I ever played General was, I think I was maybe like 18, and all of a sudden people started firing off rounds, and I'm like looking around, and I had no clue that was even out there, you know?
Between that and then when they do the low flying C-17s.
Yeah, so I grew up in Orange Crest, so like people don't realize that live up there now, like when the base was still active, and they would literally fly the plane so low.
Oh, yeah.
And our house was literally like right over their path. Thanks, Mom. So the thing would just be like whoosh. Yeah. And those things are louder than you realize.
I grew up in Canyon Crest as well, and that's when they flew the B-52 bombers out of that base. And we had one plate that had springs on the back, and it would just start rattling.
So you're a Riverside for life girl?
Riverside for life.
Wow. What is with this town that people just don't leave? And I'm one of them. You know
I did leave for 15 years.
Where did you go?
I went to college in South Dakota.
Okay.
And then lived in Orange County for a while, and then
it brought you back to your roots.
This is a much better environment to raise a family.
It's definitely a good. Do you live in Canyon Crest still?
Down Victoria Woods.
Oh.
Yeah.
Victoria Woods is my favorite part of Riverside.
Yes, it is.
Victoria Woods is like the hidden gem of Riverside, I think.
It is.
No one really talks.
Streets.
Yeah, windy streets. Every house is different. I'm a mid-century modern guy, so there's always a few of those that pop up in there. So what made you get started in this? And then how long has it been around? Like we were talking before the podcast, like I used to know people in high school that used to work there when it was part of the base.
Sure.
And I don't even know when it ever transferred over.
It's kind of a long story, but I'll definitely give you the Reader's Digest version. It's it originally was built as a retirement community for retired military officers only. It was a totally different structure. It was a buy-in CCRC, meaning they bought in and then they were cared for through end of life. Long story short, over the 30 years of its existence, it ended up going bankrupt, unfortunately. Between the crash of 2007, 2008, they had just built a whole new phase right before that. The closure of the two bases were right around there. I mean, so it just was a really terrible trifecta.
Did those people get grandfathered in?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good.
To the most part. Yeah, I mean, their contract did change a little bit. So Westmont Living is a privately held company based out of La Jolla. They came in and purchased the whole property out of bankruptcy. So we're coming up on 3 years that happened.
Is that the only one they have? They have to have tons of them.
I think we're up to maybe 18, mostly in California, 2 up in Oregon. Our core business is assisted living and memory care. So this property, out off Van Buren is totally unique to the whole industry, honestly.
I think that's the only one I know of.
So most of them, you'll have a few little casitas or something, but they are typically that buy-in where it's several $100,000 up front and you still have your monthly fee on top of that. And that's what ours was. Westmont Living came in and changed the structure. They simplified. So anybody 55 and over can come rent a home.
Mom, you're in.
There you go. It's a nice place to live.
55, you're in. They'll take care of you.
It's pretty fun.
They make your meals, don't they?
Not in the homes so much, but there is a restaurant. Yep,
sorry, Mom.
There is a restaurant. You can go.
Trying to put my mom in a home already.
That's right. Hey, I can't wait to move in, honestly.
I'll tell you what. I want that now, and I'm 34.
Totally.
Like, if someone could come
Yeah.
I have a restaurant in place.
Yeah.
Literally, if I can
Housekeeping.
I mean, come on.
Happy hours. I mean, yeah.
We need this for 30 to 40.
I know. Every adult child that comes through with their parent, it's always like, I will sign up now.
So do you guys? Is it just like them paying for rent now?
Yeah. So the house portion is a 1-year lease. It's very simple. It's a gated community. There's socialization going on. There's things going on. You're with like-aged people. There's not fireworks going off in the middle of the night.
Only gunshots.
Yeah, only on the distance.
only gunshots. So do you guys have? Are those furnished or no?
No.
Okay.
No. So you bring your own. It's just, some of our houses are up to 3,300 square feet. These
Wow.
are not little, tiny,
That's huge.
tiny 1,000 square footers. These are big. 2,500, 3,300.
That's a huge house.
They are. They're huge. I mean, these were
What
officers.
are those rent for?
Those are going about that big one is about 4,400.
Okay.
But our smaller, more average ones are like in the 25, 26, 3,000 range.
And how does that work with age groups? So does one person have to just be 55, and then the rest,
typically.
just like it is in like if you're in a community buying down in Sun City? And then is there restrictions for like guests and stuff?
They just can't move in, but they can come stay. Yeah,
Okay.
No problem. We allow pets. We have a dog park. There's beautiful hiking trails. So, I mean, it is not, the old folks' home that people think of sometimes. It is active living. It is
that's
hiking.
the problem.
Yep, it's hiking. It's golf. We have 3 pickleball courts. I mean,
Are you playing pickleball now?
I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
They skunk me every time.
Oh, yeah? There's nothing worse. When I used to play racquetball at LA Fitness, I was like 19, like athletic. And then this old dude would just mop me. And I'd be like, we'd come out, and I'd be just drenched sweating. And he would be like, oh, yeah. He'd be like, well, this didn't really work for cardio today. You know what I mean?
Right,
so what made you get into this?
I've been in senior healthcare, senior living for over 22 years.
Was that tough for you?
It's a passion.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm very fortunate. I found my passion straight out of college, and I've just stuck with it. It's a growing industry. It's obviously not going
you guys
anywhere.
It's going to be with
booming.
the demographic that will be coming up.
Absolutely. And that we found, this last 2.5 years with the real estate market going bonkers, we went bonkers because there was so little rental inventory in the Inland Empire.
Still, we don't have any.
And people wanted to sell, take advantage of their high, and they still can. It's still a great time to
sell. Oh,
sell.
it's a great time to sell. Great time to buy. It's always a great time.
We had so many people that were on that cusp of, I want to sell, I want to take advantage. I'm an empty nester. I'm rattling around in this huge 2-story house. I don't need all this anymore, but I got 2 more years till retirement. But what do? I think I maybe want to move out of state, follow my kids wherever they are. And so we had several that sold, took advantage of the height, and then moved in with us. And now maybe they'll stay, maybe they won't. I don't know, but they have now. They're in a 1-year lease with a nice chunk of money in the bank.
I think that is the hardest. You want to talk about? You're saying inventory. Rental inventory in general was down, but renting was down.
Stories I heard was just
terrible. And it's so crazy. What's so bad? What people don't understand with our job is like. It's awful. Like right now I have a lease in Orange County, and like I have like 10 people calling me. I'm a mom, I have kids, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, but you just don't make enough, or this person makes more than you, and I don't know what to tell you.
Scary.
Only one person gets it. I have to tell 9 people they didn't get it.
If not 90.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that people don't understand. It's like, so even I was saying before, like inventory for 55 plus is even a smaller niche.
Right.
Because I live in an apartment, and luckily the apartment I live in is like it's in downtown. It's full of doctors. Like we have a lot of doctors and nurses. We have like no kids there, so it's great there. But I've also lived in other places where it's like kids are running around the whole time. Yep. There's parties at the pool.
Parking's
always a trouble.
You're walking 10 miles with your groceries.
You're on the second floor. There's no elevator,
yes.
and so there's not a lot of units for 55 plus.
Riverside is lacking big time. There's some newer complexes being built or that are in the works right now, but those fill up instantly. The minute those are released, they're gone. There's waiting lists. Yeah. 200 people deep.
Are you guys on a waiting list right now?
We are not yet because we're still in renovation. So backing up a little bit, when Westmont Living took over about 3 years ago, occupancy was low. I mean, hence a bankruptcy.
100%.
I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense. So they went in, committed $20 million in renovations. So we have painted every single house. There's 337 houses actually out there, not to mention the over 200 apartments. So just in the houses alone, painted every single one and remodeled every single interior that was vacant at the time. So we're still in that process of as natural attrition as people are moving out. We're going in, renovating, releasing them to the leasing office. So we're still have some availability, which is great. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind. We've gone from 30% to 85% in 2.5 years.
And
so
probably bet it was hard to find the staffing too.
And that's been our biggest, just as we took over in September of 2019. We were just getting our feet under us 6 months in, and the world shuts down. So, we had to very quickly pivot. We have obviously a very sensitive population
100%.
within our assisted living and memory care. And so all focus had to go to that and staffing and stuff. So, I mean, just like the rest of the world, we still have some staffing issues, but so we're having to cut back on a few things that we can provide, a lot of the fun stuff, but we'll get there. It
is crazy how everyone is short on staff, and it's bonkers. Like,
I was
you
just
know what I
listening
mean?
this morning on the radio coming in too. It's just restaurants, and that's what we're competing against. That our dining room, our housekeepers, our care staff. We're competing against hotels, restaurants, hospitals. And we all need it.
100%. And they're and it's like it's really hard. It's like I can make $20 at Jack in the Box now. So
our
it's like,
process too is we do vet our
you
staff.
exactly.
We
you
have
have
to go through a background. We have to go through fingerprint. A vaccine is required, and so to get your 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds with all of those
lined up,
even your 25-year-olds,
even 34-year-olds.
I know. So it's a lot of hoops, unfortunately. Fortunately, because we have to make sure our residents are cared for properly. So
how much do you guys have nursing on staff?
We have LVNs, nursing staff, not 24 hours, but and then caregiver staff, 24 hours.
Staff on the other side,
on like the apartment assisted living
on the apartment side. And
Mm-hmm.
how many units do you have of that?
There's about 225, give or take, in assisted living and memory care. And then a whole nother skilled nursing, which is like a short-term rehabilitation on site too. So that's really nice to have all levels right there.
Are people able to like bounce from one to the other?
That's
like obviously if you're in a house and then you fall and you hurt yourself, you can shift over, and that doesn't cause a rift with the lease or
no. If you need to go to assisted living, we let you out of your house lease. We want you where you need to be. Yep.
Which that's great too, because what sucks is we see it all the time. Someone has a lease or they're living in a house.
Yep.
And then this happens actually a lot. We have a client lives in a house, they're elderly, something happens to them. They have to go put in a facility maybe for 6 months. The family can't cover the house and the facility, so they end up having to sell the house.
Yep. And we call that crisis mode. So, I preach all the time is, go, if you're senior, if you're an adult child, go look early. Don't wait till they're in the emergency room.
Because then it's a scramble.
And then it's a scramble, and then your kid is making the decision. You have no control anymore.
And if you don't like your kids,
that's a problem. Or if they don't like you,
100%. You know what I mean? That's the other thing we deal with. Sometimes we have the parent who still wants to make the decisions, but legally now the kids are making the decisions in this crossroad of like, who do we?
Or you have siblings that are
100%,
and money involved.
Yeah.
It can. I've seen some crazy cases. And so I just always encourage people, go look early before you even need it, so that you're just looking with different eyes. And then if something happens, you can say, hey, daughter, go check these 3 places for me, please.
And like you said, most facilities, because I know there's one, a long time ago when I was younger, I was like 18. Yeah, 18. I was planning on being an EMT, so we'd have to go to elderly care. So we'd do ambulance runs on care and things like that, and we'd have to go to these facilities. And like, I think there's one off Magnolia. I think we went to.
A couple of them.
Yeah, off Magnolia. There's a couple of them in Hrupa Valley. There's a few. And it's like you walk in there and it's like my grandfather was 92. It's like there was a few times he had to go with them, and he's like, I just don't want to be here. Like I have my own house. I don't want. This isn't the place I want to feel in.
I think what has taught everybody these last 2.5 years is that isolation is not a good thing mentally. And I mean, this is something our seniors have been struggling with and suffering forever. Loss of driving, loss of friends, family moves away, loss of function, and they become isolated. It slowly happens. I mean, the rest of the world, we had it very quickly. Yeah. When the world shut down, we all saw it very quickly. But to a typical senior, it happens very slowly. And before you know it, they're not even getting out of their pajamas all day, or maybe just living on Ritz crackers and peanut butter, or canned soups. So it's usually happens kind of slowly. So, the isolation and lack of socialization, lack of healthy food, lack of taking your meds properly, lack of exercise. I mean, all that stuff is what a senior living community can provide for a senior. And, it's invaluable. And I mean, I think we all realize that after these isolation periods.
Do you guys do check-ins with everyone? Like,
not so much in the homes. Those are independent. Yeah. It's just 55 and over. But yeah, it's just, there's a lot of great places here in Riverside. And so that's why I kind of, having worked in the area for so long, I just like to consider myself as, senior living expert, even if my place isn't the right place.
It is the right place.
But we can help. I mean,
I like, the one thing I do like about your guys' place, it has every option.
It does.
And so, like, that's sometimes the struggle. It's like, well, I want...
Especially if you have a couple.
Exactly. So it's like, I want to live here, but I don't want to be... Like, it's like, I'm not... I don't want to live in a house by myself anymore, but I also don't want to be in a building where... An apartment. Or and some of them are really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie.
They're cruise ships on land. They're
exactly.
Beautiful. Totally.
But sometimes that's a big struggle from having my own place to now living in an apartment.
Yeah, the hardest situation I see a lot of the times is when it's a couple and one needs big time memory care. And then the other spouse, where do they go? So that is really where our campus is beautiful.
So they could have their house.
Can have those smaller houses.
And they can get there quick.
And then the other one can be in the memory care. They can have lunch together, but the full responsibility of constant care of someone with memory loss is not completely on the well spouse. I think that's the thing.
It wears people down.
It's exhausting.
It is so exhausting. I mean, my grandfather had cancer, and he only had to live with me for like 2-3 days, but those...
It's nonstop.
Literally, it's middle of the night. It's, they're getting up and trying to walk, and then, and it wears you down.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to be able to manage like that. So obviously not everyone is always in the most financial well-being when they get to that age. Do you guys, obviously you're a private company, but is there grants from California or things like that can help people out, or no?
Not enough. The state, there are some programs, not very many in Riverside County, that will sometimes kick in and pay for assisted living. There's just very few places that accept those programs because they barely make the bills.
Yeah.
And there is a program through the VA where veterans that served during wartime, it's called the VA Aid and Attendance Program. So if the veteran served during any point of wartime or the surviving spouse, they sometimes can qualify, and that would be something through the VA that they would apply for. There's not a whole lot of other programs. I mean, Medicare, Medi-Cal does not cover assisted living or memory care for the most part. Like I said, there's those few little programs that sometimes do, but in general, they do not. It is a cash out of pocket. So hence the assets of the homes, the assets of retirement accounts, long-term care insurance if people have purchased those, although that is getting more expensive as well. You don't always have to buy the long-term care insurance to cover the whole monthly cost, but at least if you can supplement, if you're, so that's it. It's an issue. It absolutely
and
is
it's
an
only
issue.
going to balloon because, we're coming to that crossover. Was it baby boomers, I think?
It's coming.
It's definitely coming for sure. And the sad part about it is, people always wonder, like, how... we sometimes go into houses and it's hoarders. It's like, well, most of the time it's some elderly person that lives alone. Yeah. And no one's paying attention to them until it's too late. And then the family shows up and they're like, whoa, we didn't realize. And then we got to come in and be like, Okay, we can
Awesome.
buy this for you. And the sad part of it, at that point, it's like you're not gonna make enough money off the house, and
So that's when, I mean, in any industry, you want to be the go-to, you want to be the expert, you want to have those resources. So, I have resources for people who specialize in hoarding situations. It's people who specialize in moving seniors, downsizing. It is a skill.
You should be a real estate agent.
It is a skill to downsize a senior. I mean,
100%.
You cannot take every single thing. You're coming into a 500 square foot apartment for assisted living.
And the craziest thing that is important to them is mind blowing. I'm looking at one right now. The things that are important, like that is true. Like that is something that people don't. And luckily for people, some of you, this is why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because you've been doing it for so long. Yes. People don't realize expertise in trial and error is so important to not hit the same hurdles that we've seen a million times.
Well, and understanding that you don't have to do it all yourself. Like
100%.
Reach out, get your network going. I mean, Riverside is a awesome city for those purposes. It's big, but it's very small.
We're the biggest small town in the world. I tell you everyone that all the time. I'm like, we're so massive. But we are such the smallest town.
It's like 3 degrees of separation. Usually
100%.
There's not even 7. It's like 3 degrees of separation that we could probably sit here and figure out somebody that we know.
I know. People are like, you follow that person on Facebook. Don't know who they are. Oh, well, this is so-and-so. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah. It was like that even before Facebook. Riverside has always been that way. But yeah, I mean, that's where reaching out, getting your network. And so, I mean, everybody goes to the realtor to find the painter or the roofer or the termite guy. Like, hey, check with your realtor. They got to know these people.
Well, because we use them so much, we go through, we know who's good and who's not.
Exactly.
Because we just do it all the time.
Exactly.
And then we know, like, okay, that person's not good. Made a mistake. Yeah. And that's the thing. We have all those services, and you guys do too, because we do it all. We do this every day.
Yeah. And so, like, these last couple of years, I've been talking to various agents, and they kind of look at me like, well, why would I want to refer you a renter when I could go sell them another house? I'm like, well, there's nothing for them to buy right 100%. Now. So
well, and
you need to open your mind a little bit, think outside the box. If you've got a cash buyer and you need them out in a month.
Yeah. Do you guys do just your leases?
We do offer a month to month sometimes. Yeah. It's getting more limited, but yeah. So,
yeah. I think the thing is that in our industry, where I think most people survive or whatever because we have so much competition, and same thing in your guys' space, is providing the best service for that person.
Yep.
Whatever financially that matters, like making the best decision for that person, and that decision is what I think what people need to realize is, like, when you work with someone who does this all the time and they can actually make the best decision for you, because half the time they don't know. No. There's probably people to come to you and they're like, should my dad be living on his own? Should he be in the apartment? Where should he be? And then you can ask A, B, C, D questions and be like, listen, based on these questions, he needs to be here.
He does not need to be independent. Yeah, exactly.
And the sad part is because they don't want, sometimes kids don't want to realize their parents are at that point where they need help.
Well, or if they don't live close by.
100%.
I mean, you can fake a lot in a 15-minute phone call.
For sure.
And when the kids are far away. That when you do show up to visit, and it's like, oh, I had no idea that.
And half the time they're going to them, so they're like, you're gonna jump on a plane and come see us, because it's easier to fly one person to the family's house than it is to go to their house. And I don't think it takes a lot of time for it to spiral downhill very quickly.
Exactly.
And it's sad. And like I said, we go in it. It's just sad that it's like, man, someone was living here, and I don't think people process that. And like you said, it's tiring.
It is.
You know?
Yeah. So like I said, I just stress, look early, start early, as agents.
Do you guys do like open houses?
We do. So typically about one every other month. I mean.
Well, can you do me a favor? Every time you have one, can you email me a flyer so then I can post it?
Yes.
On all my platforms and send that out to everyone? And
they're usually, yes, absolutely. They're usually just kind of self-guided. It's a great introduction. So there's not high pressure. Yeah. It's not a sales pitch. It's a come meander through our property, have a couple of models open, self-guided, and it's a great introduction to the
what I'd also love to do for you guys?
What?
I have a show called Living in Riverside where I walk around and do talk about neighborhoods. I'd love to do one at your facility.
That'd be really fun.
How's that sound? Put it on my YouTube channel.
That'd be cool. That'd be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same way, right?
We're gonna get you on the pickleball court.
Listen, lady, let's not get started with the pickleball. Guys are like, when are you going to play pickleball? I'm like, I don't feel like getting mopped by 6-year-olds. I'm half their age. I don't want to get embarrassed.
80-year-olds at our place.
Oh, God. But I think that's the thing that I try to tell everyone, right? Like, you know, we're making jokes. My mom's here, but my mom's 65. Yeah, 65. And my dad's 65. And I keep telling them, I'm like, you guys have so much time left. Mm-hmm. You got plenty of time. Go enjoy life.
Yep.
It's easy.
Absolutely.
The kids are out of the house.
Empty
nester. But yeah, no, I think that's the thing is you guys have such a great facility. I've sent some people your guys' way because we've had clients. And I just think it's something that is an option that people need to know that's out there.
Yep.
Because going and living in an apartment by themselves is how someone I haven't heard because that's the other thing is stressful that people it's like, oh, well, my parents are gonna live here, they're gonna dude, you call them, they don't pick up, then you call again, they don't pick up, and you live in Arizona, what are you doing? Jumping on a plane and calling someone? The stress level of that is insane. So if say that someone does live in the houses, you say you don't do check-ins, but say can someone call and be like, hey, I can't get a hold of my mom or dad, can you guys go knock on the door and see?
Usually we can if we have, you know, depending on like the
staffing
day and time and all that stuff. But yeah, typically we can, or a lot of times it's the neighbors. I mean, it's like a little Mayberry, you know, a lot of retirees that, you know, just they see their neighbors and they check in and we have a neighborhood support committee that's all resident
probably play
driven.
A lot of gin.
They poker.
A poker is a game?
Yes, poker.
Man, I love getting. They're like, I can't make this month's rent because I lost at the table last week. Like
that's why we have automatic withdrawal.
You're like, listen, you get this, you get an allowance. Do you guys have a store there? Do you have a grocery store?
Not a grocery store. We do have a little like a gift shop type store, that our residents run.
But now the one thing that's nice nowadays is with all the services.
Oh my gosh, yes. Between Amazon and DoorDash and Instacart.
I bet you guys have a truck coming in there every day dropping stuff off.
It's great. And Uber. I mean, Uber has become a great resource for seniors to be able to get around town. You know, it's wonderful to have that freedom.
I think they're benefiting the most now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because now it's like, you Dad, you can't drive anymore.
Yep.
But I'll give you an Uber like if you just figure out how to teach them.
It's just the apps. We just gotta figure
the
apps.
Like,
come on, just the smartphone.
My mom was in Vegas last week and she's like, can you get me an Uber from one place to another? I'm like,
you had to pay.
I'm like, are you serious right now? I said, you don't know how to work an Uber app? No. No, she doesn't know how to work an Uber app.
That's gonna be your next cat.
Uber app and Venmo are the two apps that we need to get her on. So
your world will
will change. Can you? I'm in a podcast, mother. Please. No, I'm not. Get on. This is in camera. So, well, that's exciting. I think that's something that I'm looking forward to, you guys, because I think it's definitely gonna be an important move in the next 5 to 10 years, and I don't think people are realizing the problems that are gonna show up.
Yep.
And like you said, normally people don't even think about it until it's crisis mode, and then you're freaking out, and the worst part about it, then you're making a decision on a place that you don't even really know much about.
Nope.
Because you're waiting till the last second.
They picked up the phone when you called them.
100%. And then like you said, and if you're not around, you know, or maybe your parents aren't, you know, getting to that point that you just, you know, and then the sad part about it is then you just don't know.
To me, it's kind of like having fire insurance. You go, you have it, you have the information. Maybe you never need it. That's fine. But go and get that information ahead of time so that you're ready just in case. Hope, you know, just like fire insurance. Hope you never have to use it. But you have it just in case.
Same thing with car insurance.
Yeah, everything.
I just think that's the crazy part with the society. It's like no one calls until there's crisis mode. You know, like no one cares about a great CPA until you get your tax bill and you're like, you know what I mean? Like,
or audited.
Yeah. And then you're like, I should not have been filing my own taxes for the last 3 years. I have no idea if I was doing it right. No clue. That's the thing that I've really leaned on. A lot of people are like, dude, how do you do the podcast, the camera, sell houses, do all? I'm like, dude, I just have people to do I just try to do only what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't want to know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. Like, if I have a client, I'm just going to send them to you.
So
I don't want, you know, it's a network of people. And the stronger your network is, is the only way you're going to truly be successful.
And I think that's going to be really important. I heard you talk on one of your other podcasts.
Oh, thanks for listening. Whoa. You know what? That's awesome. Because then you're like, I got one view. That's her.
But just how, agents typically don't last in their first years, and these last 2 years were not typical. So if you're a new agent as of the last 2 years,
you better be thinking of new ways. I think it's all about solving people's problems.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
And the sad part that you don't realize is sometimes buying and selling doesn't solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you need to work with someone who can actually decide if to actually make the sense of that problem. It's like I said, there's probably plenty of people that come to you and they're like, but I want to live in an apartment or in a house. You can't remember it's Tuesday.
Yeah, that is not safe.
No, that's not safe.
Right.
And being able to tell their kids, listen, I know your dad wants to live here. He's not. You live in New Jersey. Like, this isn't going to work.
Yep, I do that all the time.
And it's hard, and we have to have those hard conversations.
Yep.
And sadly, you're at a place where most people are coming to you, and you just have to have that hard conversation.
Yep. And, a lot of crisis modes, a lot of denial.
That's like where we're going to be going. I want everyone to know.
Yeah.
It's not the last 2 years or the last 10 years. We're going in a different market. Like I tell people all the time, like you just got to get ready to have a lot of hard conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks because you take it personal sometimes because you think people are mad at you. But it's like
Nope.
the best thing I can do is tell this person the truth.
Yep.
If I lie to them, it's only going to cause a problem down the road.
No, it only comes back to hurt you and your career and your integrity later.
100%.
So.
Well, I'm super excited you finally could come on.
Me too. Thank
Guys, make sure if you have someone who is getting to that point in age that might be a scenario, just go check it out.
Westmont Village.
Obviously, it's right off by General Olds off Van Buren. Obviously, you notice she's not a pushy salesman.
Nope.
So you're just going to stop by, get some information. If for some reason you need something like that, reach out to me, reach out to her. But I definitely want to do that Living in Riverside tour.
That'd be
we
fun.
can put that on my thing so more people can know about a great asset that we have in Riverside.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Until next time, guys. Peace.